Hi guys. So I've tried to record this video like 7 times now and have never made it past like 30 seconds because I just keep saying stupid stuff. So I'm just gonna go and I'm probably gonna say some dumb stuff and I'm just gonna leave it in or else I'll just be keep starting and stopping like forever. So hopefully I've already said this by now, but if not, I am Mrs. Vore. You should have me, or you should be in here for. See, that's a dumb thing to say. I should just say I teach AP Stats, Independent Study, and Math 3. I have also been called Mrs. Odell. My maiden name is Odell, so I have coached under that name and I have taught under that name. So you guys might know somebody that refers to me as that, and that's totally okay. I love that name, obviously, because I grew up with it, but now I'm married, and my married name is Mrs. Vore. I have well, pause. I'm making this video coming to you live, but not really live, from my home office. So if you're ever absent or you're doing distance learning, then you'll either see me doing videos from here or you will see me doing videos in the classroom. I imagine that you're probably gonna see a mix of both. So now that I've said that, I just wanted to take a minute to welcome you guys all back to school and tell you a little bit about me. So, number one, welcome back. I know that there's been a lot of controversy about whether or not we should come back, and I just want to genuinely say that I am glad that I get to be back in the classroom. I am glad that I will be able to get to see you all and that we will be able to interact with each other. I think that distance learning wasn't horrible for me, but it reminded me what my favorite part about this job is, and that is you guys. I love to be with you guys, and it's not the same when we don't actually get to be with each other. So I am glad to be back. I am hoping that you are glad to be back, and I am also hoping that maybe having to stay home and do the distance learning helped you gain a greater appreciation for being able to come to school. Right now, the students that I teach are mostly 11th and 12th graders, and let's be honest, by your 11th or 12th grade year, like sometimes you're not in it to win it. You're like, I just need to graduate and get out of here. But I'm hoping that maybe having to do the distance learning reminded you how valuable the experience of actually getting to come to school is. And maybe that'll make it so that this year that we get to spend together is one of the best years that any of us have had going to school. Speaking of it being the best year, this will be my 13th year teaching. And my favorite number is 13. Growing up, I was a really, really superstitious kid. Like, I would worry about everything and was just a scaredy cat. And I remember when I was younger, I think I was in junior high, I was talking to my dad about how I was nervous that the next day was going to be Friday the 13th. And my dad was like, no, that's silly. Like, that can be a lucky day. Friday the 13th can be something special. And ever since then, my favorite number is 13. I actually got married on Friday the 13th. It wasn't necessarily planned, but when it was one of the options, we chose it because it reminds me so much of my dad. He passed away right before I started teaching, so quite a long time ago, and it was nice to get to choose something that I felt like he could be a part of. So because this is my 13th year, I am really hoping and feeling like this is going to be one of the best years ever, if not the best year. So I wanted to start out this welcome video by letting you guys know that I am genuinely glad to be back. I like being a teacher. I like this job that I do. I really value the work that I get to do with you guys. And yeah, I don't know what else I would do. I intentionally choose to be a teacher because it suits me well. And I love it. Um, so the other thing that I should mention, I'm just going to try to like tell you three things about me. So one of them is I have a couple of pugs. Their names are Deli and Murphy, and you'll probably hear them barking either in this video or future videos. And if you had me last year for Math 3, I'm sure that you're aware of them because they would just bark in my videos and I would either yell at them or let them rip. So yeah, I have two pugs. My favorite way to start the day is to get up and walk them. It sounds so dumb, but it really brings my heart so much joy to get to walk my dogs every morning. So, and interestingly enough, it's like the number one thing that I want to tell you. I was going to insert some video clips of them if I can. I will. I'm sure I can, but if I have the time to do it, I will. But sometimes I'm like running really low on time, so I might not. But I wanted to include some videos for you, but if I don't on this video, I will certainly try to fit them in somewhere because they're really cute and I love them. Another thing that I wanted to tell you is, and I think I mentioned it in the beginning of this video, it's only been 6 minutes and I don't even remember what I said, but I used to coach cheer. I've coached cheer for almost as long as I have been a teacher. I had just chosen my 10th team at the end of this last school year. And then over the summer, I decided to move on from that. So one of my favorite things I've ever done in my whole life is coaching. It is such a rewarding experience to get to work with people your age on a much closer level and in a different way. And it's like I said, it's very rewarding. But I decided to move on from that this summer, partly because of some COVID concerns, but mostly because I'm really big into self development. So I'm really big into living your best life and being your best self and finding the things that make you happy and going after those things. And so instead of coaching cheer, I've been transitioning into a life coach position. And I have a couple of clients that I'm working with right now. And yeah, so I moved on from cheer so that I could get to do a different kind of coaching that I'm really interested in as I get older. Life coaching is, I mean, you could think about it as kind of like therapy. Like sometimes when you go to therapy, you talk about your life experiences and you talk about how they made you feel. And if you have a good therapist, you talk about strategies to help you move forward. And life coaching is similar to that. We talk about how we feel, but it's mostly what I do with my clients is we talk about their wildest dreams and what would make them be happy and what they think that their best life looks at. And then we spend a lot of time mapping out the choices that they need to make to get there. So it's very fun and interesting and fulfilling in a whole different way than I ever knew could be possible when working with other people. So yeah. So my interesting things so far are I love being a teacher. I have a couple puggies that I really, really love. I used to coach and now I've moved on from that to do coaching in a different way. And I think that is all of the things. Oh, there was one other thing that I wanted to tell you. So over our quarantine, I started developing a lot of hobbies. In the past, my hobbies have been teaching. I'm a teacher that typically works pretty much all day. I'm with you guys till 2, and then I'll grade or do lesson plans and stuff like that until later in the evening, and then have a couple hours with my family and start all over again the next day. Speaking of family, I don't have any kids. I just have the baby pugs. So when I talk about my pugs, other teachers are probably talking about their kids. So, because of the unique situation of being on dismissal and kind of feeling like we had this super long extended summer, I started to try to develop other hobbies. And I've realized that I really like to be outdoors. I really like to hike and explore. And the other thing that I've done a ton of is building Legos. I did that before the dismissal, but over the summer, I've just had a lot more time than I usually do. So, my one of my life coaching clients, she always gets me like big Lego sets for my birthday and Christmas and stuff like that. So I love to build Legos. You probably can't see if I lean over. I have some Legos on these shelves here. This was my last birthday present. It's a haunted school bus. Oh no, we lost the girl. The girl fell off. If you come around my desk area, I have a ton of minifigs. If you had me last year, you probably saw a bunch of my minifigs out around my desk. So, yeah, 10 minutes, and all I've done is talk about me. So, hopefully, it was a little interesting for you. The other thing that I wanted to tell you before we end this video is the reason why I teach. I think it's important for you guys to know, or maybe even interesting to know, why your teachers have chosen the profession that they have. And I chose to become a teacher because when I was about your age, a little bit younger, I had a really awesome teacher. I grew up in the same area that you guys did. I went to Magnet Elementary, and then I went to Westlake Junior High before it got earthquaked, and now it's no longer, now it's condemned. And then I went to Granger High before they did the rebuild. So I grew up in these neighborhoods. My brother graduated from Cypress. And so yeah, I when I went to school, I my parents, they didn't go to college. Neither of them graduated high school. I think my mom made it to high school, but my dad, I think after junior high, just was like, nah, I'm done. So I didn't, my family wasn't really super focused on education. They weren't like super into monitoring our grades. They wanted us to do well, but it wasn't like a huge deal for them. And I remember at the end of my eighth grade year, I was really struggling with math. I am the kind of student, or I was the kind of student, that would rise to my teacher's expectations. So if I had a really awesome teacher that set good deadlines and things were clear, then I did well. I usually got an A, and I just did what they expected of me. But if I had a lazy teacher, then I was a lazy student. And unfortunately, I kind of feel bad to say this, but my junior high math teachers were lazy. And so I didn't thrive well with those teachers because there wasn't enough structure. And at the end of my eighth grade year, I ended up getting a D minus in pre-algebra, algebra, whatever it was called back then. And I remember getting the report card in the mail and thinking, I got to call my mom at work and tell her that I got a horrible grade. And I was worried she was going to be a little bit mad. So I call her at work. I tell her my grade. And all she said to me was, well, did you do the best you could? And I lied and said, yes, I did. And she said, then that's all that matters. And that was it. And I felt, on one hand, so grateful that I had a parent that understood that things can be hard and you don't necessarily have to be punished because you struggle at something. But on the other hand, I felt really disappointed in myself and sad that I lied to her and said, yeah, I did the best I could, when I know that I didn't do the best that I could. I had a lazy teacher, but I could have made up for that by being a better student. So fast forward to my ninth grade year. I entered ninth grade with pretty good grades, mostly A's and B's. I got a C here or there, and then that D minus. And I thought at the beginning of the school year, the only goal that I made at the beginning of my ninth grade year, because your grades start to count, and it's kind of like that ninth grade year is kind of a big deal. I decided I'm just going to do the best that I can. I don't care what my grades are, but I want to be able to say to myself and to my parents, if they ever ask me again, I did the best that I could. And Fortunately, that year I got paired with a really good math teacher, one of the best math teachers I've ever had. His name is Mr. Earl. I think he just retired last year. And he wasn't, there was nothing really spectacular about him. It wasn't that he was funny and outgoing and or anything like that. He was just a good teacher. You could tell that he cared about his job, that he really wanted us to understand. He would give us lots of opportunities to ask questions. And he was really good about grading our homework and getting it back to us quickly so that we really knew where we were at. And with him, I was able to get an A, the first A that I'd ever gotten in math since I had started junior high. And it changed something in me. Getting that first A changed me. Like, that's such a stupid, silly thing to say, but I mean it so sincerely with my whole heart. That teacher helped me realize that with the right guidance, with the right teacher, I'm capable of so much. I am capable of being the best student in the class, and that opened up my whole world. All of a sudden, I was getting 4.0s. All of a sudden, I was able to do things that scared me before because I just went into it thinking I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to ask questions when I'm confused, and we'll see how it goes. So I ended up graduating second in my class. So just under, there were 343 kids graduating that year. This kid named Tad Dietz was number one. He was not my favorite, obviously. And I was number two. And that felt like a huge accomplishment for me, coming from a family where my parents didn't really monitor us all that closely. And they had never really even thought about college. They never talked to me about college. And there I was, graduating with several scholarships and my tuition paid for to go to college as soon as I graduated high school. So, and I can confidently say that I would have never had those opportunities. I wouldn't have thought that that was possible for me if it weren't for that teacher. So, when I decided to become a teacher, I thought, well, if I can do for even one kid what he did for me, that's a life well spent. And I'm not presuming that I'm going to make that huge difference for you, because let's face it, I think that happens very rarely. But what I can say is I'm going to do my best for you. I am going to fulfill my end of the bargain. And I'm really hoping that when you see how much I love you and care about you, and you see me putting the work in, that will inspire some work from you. So I started teaching because I wanted to make a difference. And I know that I don't make a difference for every kid, but I could make a difference for you if you let me. So yeah, I think that that's the whole spiel. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you're back. Please, let's be safe this year. I know the masks aren't our favorite thing. I know the social distancing can sometimes be a chore, and it's easy to be forgetful about it. But please, as best you can, try to make good decisions while you're here, because I value getting to be here with you. And I'm hoping that your guys' choices will allow that to continue and will show that you guys value being in school.